And those areas, he's going to help us understand what is needed for South Africans to export or to import. So, Jaco, over to you.
Great, thank you very much. Sorry, Diane, I'm a couple of minutes late. I've had shipping lines calling me the whole morning. So.
Oh, exciting.
Port. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. As some of you might know me, some of you don't, Jaco from Titan Global. We're an international freight clearing and forwarding company. So just this masterclass is going to be just picking up from the last time. So just a couple of class norms for us, just a quick run through. We're going to stay, start, and stop on time. So an hour, we'll be good and going for that. But I'll leave a little bit early because I think Gianni also wants to do a couple of things. Let's all participate and not debate. So let's all be constructive, ask, and participate with one another. Let's stay engaged and ask questions as we go. If you want to know anything or need clarity on anything, stop. So keep your mics open, stop, and let's keep going. You'll see as we go along, make little notes. If I don't get to your questions, there's a parking lot at the end. So any questions that you would like to know or that we'll come back to, write it down and we'll address it at the end there. And then also I'm going to ask you for one takeaway that you've had. So one thing that stood out for you during this whole masterclass, one little nitbit that's what's interesting. And yeah, let's have fun. I always try to make it as fun as possible. So here we go. So hazardous cargo. So let's talk about hazardous cargo. Hazardous cargo is one of the most fascinating parts when it comes to freight clearing and forwarding. It is the underdog, but also the most intricate way of cargo moving around the world. So first off, let's get to know our classes. Is your hazardous one? So hazardous, I've got 9 classes. Class 1, class 2, class 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Each class is different from one another in specific ways, but also one thing that you need to know is certain classes can't be loaded with another class. So if you've got one class in a container going to, let's say, Canada, there's no direct sailings from Canada, from Cape Town to Canada. It goes either via the Far East or the Far East if you're going to Vancouver, or via Europe, the Europe hub, if you go to the Toronto side. If you've got a class 2 can't be loaded again with class 1 or class 4. So here you're sending it. If someone has already pre-booked class 2 or 4 cargo in Rotterdam that's going to Canada, your cargo will not go because they can't ship in the same container. So your cargo will wait because first come, first serve. So knowing your classes is important. And also, we're going to touch a little bit later on hidden dangerous goods. Something that you've never thought of that could be dangerous is actually dangerous. So let's start. Right, class 1, explosives. Easy. Anything that goes bang. So that is, and also like you'll see on your screen there, there's different divisions of class 1. So that's your ammunition, hand grenades, gunpowder, dynamite. Yes, it can go on a cargo aircraft and passenger aircraft, depending where you're going. So yes, conspiracy theory quickly. You know where that Air Malaysia plane that went down? There was talk that there was ammunition on the plane. That's why it went missing. Just saying. So yeah, so that's your class 1 explosives. Anything that goes bang, that's got explosion cap, lighting, throwing by heat. So again, this will go via passenger aircraft. All your classes can go via passenger aircraft, but the way it's packaged is incredibly necessary, because if it's packaged wrong, it won't go. Class 1's not allowed in sea freight. Funny enough, I know. All that space on the ship with minimum people, but yet that won't be allowed to go on the container.
So it can only go in the air?
It can only go air freight. So passenger, if it's a passenger aircraft, it'll go in the cargo hold. So you're going to Mauritius on holiday, but there's dynamite inside the cargo hold. Awesome. So again, stuff like that gets loaded before the passengers even get on the plane. There's a company called Guard Force. They will actually come, clear the runway, clear everything around the plane perimeter, load this in first, bolt it down onto the floor in secure thick steel cases, chain it down, bolt it on into the floor. Then they'll observe all the other cargo being packed in. Once that's packed in, close the cargo hold, and then the passengers will come in. So you don't see this. This happens way before any passengers get on board. Class 2, gases. And this doesn't include passengers with hot gas. This is just normal gases. So like gas cylinders, not toxic and non-toxic. So stuff like cyanide and stuff like that, that is a gas also. Mustard gas, all those things. Again, passenger aircrafts. This will also not go on sea freight. It can only go via air freight. Apparently, it's a little bit more stable for the gases not to jump around. Then flammable liquids. This is stuff that we get a lot on air freight. It's petrol, kerosenes, alcohol. So your hand sanitizer is a flammable liquid. So it's anything that's got a flash point. So also, again, you'll see there the packing groups. Those packing groups will show you which flammable liquid, anything that's hazardous or a UN number, must have an MSDS, which is a material safety data sheet. That will tell you exactly what it's made out of, the full scientific name, what the packing group it falls under. So the guys that packs it in hazardous packaging knows how to pack it, but also they are familiar with the whole hazardous side. So we as agents need to go on training once every 2 years or once a year to Swiss Airlines. Them and Lufthansa are the only 2 airlines that give hazardous training, and you're not allowed to handle hazardous cargo in your warehouse without a hazardous training certificate. Passing score, 100%, that's it. Full marks or you don't pass. As easy as that, and it's about 6,500 Rand to retake the test. All right, class 4s, that's your flammable solids. I love this saying, dangerous when wet. I always get a smile on my face when that comes up. Flammable solids, something that can spontaneous combust.
Like what?
For example, steel powder. If you mix it with water, for example, it starts expanding and firing. Chlorine is class 4 because you add water to it, it starts reacting to it. Dry ice as well. You add water to dry ice, it produces gas and starts getting volatile. Those are your flammable solids. Oxidizing agents, peroxides. Any chemicals that oxidizes steel, again, this will not ship in containers because it's got a hazard of actually melting away the container, going down, melting down. So there's acids and stuff like that.
So would that be a lot of the hair products?
Yes. Depending on what the makeup of the hair product is, that's why an MSDS is always required, because we just exact chemical composition of each product to make sure which class it falls under and how it's been packaged. Toxics, infectious substances. Again, these are more your viral things, viral substances, blood samples. So if you see at the bottom, there's this category A, that is like your Ebola virus, hepatitis, rabies, stuff like that. It gets sent in test tubes, and that will fly. So anything that's toxic, again, cyanide, those things are toxic. They will get flown on air freight because it's a quick way of transporting them. Blood samples will go off very quickly. Again, that's why air freight is the preferred method of flying it. Quick to get to a different country, get to a lab, and study it. So yes, again, you'll be flying on holiday to Spain with the Ebola virus in your cargo hold. Awesome. Radioactive. Yes, radioactive waste can only go via air freight. They will. This is also a very specialized way of packing it. Radioactive waste gets, obviously, you'll see the strength of the package is safe to handle if the inside insulation is up to standard. Then you can actually, like Diane, I can give you that little box, tell you, right, take this for me to town. You'll be fine. It won't affect you because the packaging of the box is fine. That's why it's allowed to go on passenger aircrafts. Again, the whole packaging and the handling of it. So yeah, this can be sent via hand delivery, radioactive waste. all again comes down to the packaging and the handling of it. Class 8, corrosives. There are very strict regulations when it comes to corrosive items. Again, the packaging groups, the packaging materials, how it's packaged is essential. Corrosives, also there's a wide range, like your handy Andes is a corrosive. Jic is a corrosive. It's not acidic, it's a corrosive because it eats away. Oxidizes the metal. That's a corrosive. So if you take Jic or drain clean and you pour it into your drain, that silver plate goes white.
What about the cleaning materials used for jewelry? Would that also be the same?
Yes, yeah, because it reacts to the gold. So again, it's hazardous cargo. Anything that reacts to metal is considered dangerous and hazardous because it can affect the aircraft or can affect the ship or the container because it reacts to metal or any other substance, plastic and that. Class 9 and other substances or articles. So this is where majority of the previous stuff that gets said, everything else falls under class 9. That's where it's not actually explosive, but it can be. For example, charcoal. Charcoal will be a class 9 because it takes a lot of temperature to actually set it off. Too high for what's inside a container. But if charcoal, if you don't handle it right, it can rub against one another, and that friction can cause it to activate. Okay, so again, like compressed gas cylinders, inflatable rafts, all those things, because an inflatable raft, if it's not packaged properly and it goes off inside a cargo hold, it goes off with so much force that it can actually push other cargo away. And if you've got something that's not fastened properly, so inflatable rafts, compressed air, flammable solids, fabric repair kits.
What's that? What's fabric repair kits?
I think it's more like your like your iron-on stickers.
Okay.
Some of them I've got an adhesive to it. That adhesive is hazardous because it's got a chemical compound to react with the clothing. So again, whatever we need, obviously we need the material safety data sheet for anything because I need to see exactly what class it falls under, the UN number, and what and how to handle and package it, so that we can follow the correct procedures and not sit with the cargo sitting at the airport and no one can handle it or gets shown away. So then we've got class A, 9A, lithium batteries. Lithium batteries have now become a hazardous commodity. That is anything from your cell phone batteries. If you import toys from overseas and they've got batteries in them, phenite batteries, rechargeable batteries, that's all lithium batteries. Those things are hazardous. Anything that's got like your power banks is considered a hazardous item because it's got lithium ion technology in it. So anything that's got a lithium ion batteries, you'll see there's different UN numbers for it. It's now hazardous. In the past, it flew as normal cargo. Cell phones, bikes, electronic bikes, anything electronic that's got a battery in it, just flew as normal. But the airlines have been having issues where the stuff overheats, reacts within the cargo hold, and causes massive damage. So now it is considered a hazardous item. If you've, for example, an electronic bike that uses a battery that gets charged, if you bring that bike in, that bike will come in as hazardous cargo because of the battery. So we always say to the client, leave the battery alone. Leave it there. You can buy your own battery here.
Nigel, does your bikes come in with batteries?
Yes, they do. They come in with batteries fitted on the bikes in the box. So I'm just finding this quite intriguing because they're not specially packed in any way. They're actually part of the bike when I get it and unpack the box. And just something, Jaco, I have tried to get replacement batteries this side, and they're actually ridiculously priced. I mean, just for a battery, a 36-volt battery for an e-bike here, to get rebuilt, I'm not even saying buying the casing or anything, costs over 10,000 Rand. It's ridiculous.
So that's the thing. So we can look at bringing it in, but obviously, the hazardous fee, Nigel, for example, your cargo comes in via groupage, LCL. Now, because your cargo will be the only one that's hazardous, there's a straight flat fee. You don't pay per cube on the hazardous. So because your stuff is the only stuff that's hazardous, you will pay that full container and shipping lines hazardous fee. which is going to be $300, $400, depending on the shipping line. So you'll be footing that full bill. No one else will pay for it because none of their cargo is hazardous, only yours. So that's one thing to keep in mind is you can bring it in as groupage still under hazardous, but it'll increase your freight cost because you'll pay a hazardous handling, hazardous surcharge, as well as the hazardous ocean freight will be mainly your responsibility. So keep that in mind as well. So again, pros and cons. Will it still be cheaper to freight it in if you bring in one bike and you pay a $300 surcharge, it becomes null and void. But if you bring in 4 or 5 bikes, then the $300 is a straight flat fee. It becomes a little bit more economical.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So lithium-ion batteries, full hazardous from now on, cell phones and all that. So that's why a lot of cell phones arrive in the country without batteries. The batteries gets flown in separately as a full hazardous shipment. All right. Hidden dangerous goods. This is actually fascinating. A lot of people will look at me funny when you start seeing the list, but let's think and talk about it. So first one, thermometers containing mercury. Any thermometer that contains mercury. Mercury is a hazardous substance. So your little baby thermometers that you put in the mouth, that's not digital, that contains mercury, is hazardous. You cannot take this on an aircraft because if that thermometer breaks in your passenger baggage and leaks out, mercury gives off the gas, which is poisonous to your fellow passengers. So mercury, full hazardous. So any thermometers, yeah, anything with containing mercury is a hazardous substance. So look at your thermometers in your house. Household goods containing like paints, aerosols, glues, adhesives, bleaching powders, cleaners. Those are all now those are hazardous, hidden hazardous. Like paint, normal acrylic paint is hazardous. Super glue, because it's got noxious fumes that can react with other things. So adhesives, glues is flammable as well. Certain paints is flammable. So keep that in mind. That is hidden dangerous goods. Normal household stuff that you've got lying around the house. Breathing apparatuses, like your oxygen tanks, your inhalers for asthma patients. It's considered hazardous because the contents is under pressure. So if that thing explodes, it can be dangerous to someone. So again, compressed air cylinders and stuff like that, breathing apparatuses. Camping equipment, flammable liquids, light propane, matches, portable gas burners. All those things are hazardous. Like you said, matches takes one box to open up in an aircraft, accidentally just rubs against the striking of the strike plate, and you've got a whole crate of matches just going up in flames, 50,000 feet up in the air. So matches, no go. It's considered hazardous cargo and will be treated as such and be packaged as such. Anything, like I said, anything that contains dry ice. So for all your fruit exporters, fresh fish, fresh meat, all those things that gets packaged on dry ice, it is hazardous. So you will pay for your perishable air freight, but also you will be paying for hazardous rate on air freight because of the dry ice. Because remember, when it's frozen carbon dioxide, and if it gets wet, it starts releasing gas, it bubbles, it's hazardous. So dry ice, fruit exporters, they are now paying, or fresh meat, fresh fish, anything live, frozen will be sent now as hazardous as well. So they'll be paying an additional hazardous fee on top of it.
And that's the only way to send them, though. You can't do it any other way.
No. Frozen meat, if you can send meat frozen to, for example, on sea freight, but that's in a reefer container. But you can have to look at the transit time. It has to be a short transit time. Chilled meat can be sent via sea freight as well, because it's got a longer shelf life. Fresh, frozen, and chilled meat. Fresh meat has to go in air freight because it's a very, very short transit. Flowers, fruit, highly perishable fruit, stuff that doesn't last long. Fish, fresh or frozen fish has to go air freight because it's got a very short shelf life. So the quicker you get into the country, the quicker they can go on the shelf and sell. Otherwise, by the time it gets there, it's going to go off, and their Department of Health will actually just completely tell you to destroy that container. So, class 1 explosives, some more hidden dangerous stuff. Fireworks, sparklers, safety flares, firecrackers, and ammunition. Those are all class 1 explosives. So your little 4th of July, little sparklers that you wave around when you're with your kids, that is still fully hazardous. That's considered explosives because of the gunpowder contained inside of it. Fire extinguishers, gas, soldering irons, torches, camping stoves, aerosols, that's your insecticides, hairsprays, underarm sprays, cigarette lighters. Those are considered class 2 gases. So your cigarette lighter, that's what they said. If you take, you can take a lighter with you on the airplane, but only one. You can't take more than 2. Flammable liquids, that's glues, alcohol, perfumes, nail polish remover, paint stain removers, cosmetics. It's flammables because of the contents and makeup of it. So see, it makes you think a little bit more further when it comes to you packing for your trip. Solids, fire lighters, matches, solid fuels, metal powders like zinc and magnesium. Those are all solids, class 4s. Oxidizers, fertilizers containing ammonium nitrates, swimming pool chemicals, spa tablets, your foaming spa tablets, which contains chlorine and bromine, chemical oxidizing generators. Full oxidizers, hazardous. So all your spas, the little spa treatment you go for, the sit in the jacuzzi that's bubbling, that's considered as hazardous. It's an oxidizer. Toxic infecting substances, pesticides, some medicines, engine and fuel adhesives, disinfectants, infectious diagnosis specimens, and then used needles. That is toxic and infectious substances. That obviously some things that you don't always think about. Smoke alarms are radioactive. Luminous paints contains traces of radioactive traces in them. Instruments and gauges, medicines, and then plant or ore samples contains traces of radiation and radioactive materials in it. So again, like your glow-in-the-dark paint, how do you get a glow-in-the-dark? Radioactive. So again, a little bit more seeing in the world of hazardous cargo. Corrosives, your pesticides, battery acids, thermostats, and your thermometers with mercury and household cleaners. Those are corrosives. Again, then your miscellaneous is your petrol powered devices. So a lawnmower. So this is now, I'm going to stop here at class 9 quickly. So when a lot of people saying they're relocating overseas and they would like to take their car with them, we always tell them, listen, no, I'm going to drain my car. I'm going to remove the battery. Good. But you'll still pay as a hazardous fee because there's traces of fuel inside the car, traces of oil in the car. Lawnmowers, if you relocate, you're taking your second-hand lawnmower with you. Even if you drain all the petrol out of it, the oil and the residue petrol in it still makes that lawnmower hazardous. No matter how much you get out of it. Chainsaws, like batteries, audio speakers, vaccines, substances with strong irritating fumes like sulfurs, bonding cements. Those are all class 9s. Dentists, the dental bonding cement that they use to bond your teeth, when it comes in as a raw product, is considered as a hazardous item. Remember, a lot of all the older days, what were your teeth stopped with? Mercury. Again, a little bit of trivia. That's where the whole saying "mad as a hatter" comes from, because they would also fill the teeth with mercury and also use the brim of their hats with copper and mercury to keep it upright, and obviously poisons them slowly. That's the reason "mad as a hatter." So again, those are some hidden dangerous goods, stuff that we take for granted every day. We pack in our luggage willy-nilly, don't give it 2 thoughts about it. I mean, ladies, when you go, you take your overnight bag with you quickly on the overnight trip to Durban, you pack your stuff, you pack your aerosols in the quick bit of perfume, your gentleman, your aftershave, in your travel, in your hand luggage, and off you go. What other thing goes off and up in there? It's hazardous, it's flammable. So keep that in mind when you pack again. Rather stuff like that goes in the cargo hold with a baggage where it gets controlled up there in the whole. It's quite dangerous.
So yeah,
All
so
right.
what's the difference in the regulation between being inside the planes as a passenger versus cargo? Is there a big difference, like with your pump, your aerosol pump that you can use? You have asthma, but you can't put it, you know.
Yeah, so okay, so your asthma pumps, again, that's where you have to declare stuff when you check in. Remember, they always ask you, do you have anything to declare or anything hazardous to declare? And you'll tell them no, because you've got an asthma inhaler in your bag. So tell them, no, I don't. Again, this comes about just knowing of what needs to be done. So just declare to them, because if they know there's something in your bag, they can be a little bit more precautious, or the air hostesses can take a little bit more note of you, like, okay, you need to use your inhaler. Okay, keep an eye so it doesn't go off. Or because remember, I always tell you, be careful when you take out your baggage from the top cabinets, because it moves. It's that movement that will make things break, go around, tumble across. And if you've got like a perfume bottle, it breaks, it leaks into your baggage. Someone's got a lighter that goes off next to it. You never know, and you've got just got massive fire breaking out in the upstairs compartments. So just let them know. I've got an inhaler. This is what I use it for. I'm going to be taking it with me on the plane, and they'll make note of it so that they know what to do if something happens. Air freight is all about the not that it's going to happen, but the what if, and that's how they work. So keep that in mind. Inhalers, that's also, if you smokers, a lighter, have one with you, the rest can go in your bag if you need to have more. But also now security, you'll see that when they check you, they won't allow you with more than one lighter on the plane. They'll confiscate the rest, or you check it into your checked baggage. They won't allow you with more than one lighter on. All right, so that's just a little crash course on what happens in the world of dangerous goods. That goes for both air freight imports and exports. Anything coming in needs to be regulated. We need to have all the documentation up front. Oh, little FYI, we do quite some work for Coca-Cola. For some of we export some of the raw material for Coca-Cola bottling company here in Joburg, and we fly it out to Spain. That little one box this big is considered as hazardous cargo. It has to be packaged because the base ingredient in Coca-Cola is an acid. So for all you Coke drinkers out there, that's why dentists always said, stop drinking Coke because it destroys your teeth because of the acidity in it. Not the sugar, the acidity. I know because I fly it out. So I see what goes into Coca-Cola. It's a base ingredient. So yes, thanks for listening. Right. So any questions that popped up during the little rundown, CT?
Just a quick one, Jaco, the MSDS certificate that you get from your supplier, does that only apply to hazardous materials or not the product itself?
Certain products, for example, if it's considered a dangerous good, or dangerous, okay, so think of it this way. MSDS will always show, it's a material safety data sheet. It can go both for hazardous and non-hazardous. For like steel will have an MSDS, a material safety data sheet. What is the composition of the steel? Because it affects your import duties and taxes. How much steel, the percentage of nickel to raw steel, copper to steel, all that ratios. It just gives you a breakdown of the composition. As soon as there is a UN number on that MSDS, cargo is considered hazardous.
Okay.
Always be on the lookout. If you see a UN number, then you know your cargo is considered hazardous.
Yeah. And then, I mean, if we're bringing in products all the time, is there some kind of formula that you have that we can use in being able to cost items instead of having to contact you guys all the time? Is there a formula, from the base price that we can use?
Well, I mean, okay, so I will always say, whenever I quote you, for example, on sea freight, I can give you a base quote of 1 cube. Because sea freight, you will always be charged in cube. But the variables that comes with sea freight is, I'll quote you now, and the rate of exchange is marvelous. It's sitting at 14.5. This was in February. Look at where we now, 2 months down the line, and we're sitting close to 19. So by the time your cargo comes in, that formula that you've worked on the price on is null and void. Because your rate of exchange will differ on your freight, and your rate of exchange will differ when we declare your cargo to customs, because they will use the current rate of exchange. So you've paid your stuff out at 14, but now you have to pay import duties and VAT on 19.
Yeah.
So again, we can give you a base, but it's not going to be 100% accurate because there's variables within the rate of exchange. The main thing.
Now, sorry, I'm kind of hijacking a little bit here. Just another last
fine.
question. If a product is duty free, okay, then do you still pay that exorbitant exchange rate, or just pay our current VAT on that?
The rate of exchange gets done on your VATs and duties. So they'll take the value of your cargo. So if let's say cargo value is $10,000 or $1,000, that'll make it 19,000 Rand. But when you paid for your cargo, you paid it at a lower one. So you might say, okay, but I paid it at 14, but why am I being billed now? My cargo value isn't 19,000. It is because that's when it's arriving in the country. So it's 19,000, and you'll pay VAT on that. But that's what I always say, for importers, the first thing you need to do, regardless of anything else, register for VAT, because the VAT you can claim back. Absolutely. Duties is a pure expense. Pure expense, you write it off, you can't get it back. But your VAT is important because it's a big amount, but you can claim it back when you do your VAT returns. Vitally important.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Jaco.
Let's chat with Gianni, and then you can all comment back to Jaco and ask him any other questions if you've got in a minute. Gianni, are you still online?
Yes, I'm online.
Right, Gianni, would you like to tell everybody about what you do quickly, and then how you can help them from their company point of view?
Well, basically, I'm a lawyer, and as I told before, I'm a kind of lobbyist lawyer. I like to put people in connection because I say Marco Polo didn't wait for spices in Venice when he started travel all around the world to bring solutions. I say that internationalize your activity doesn't mean only sell your products, because everywhere you can find different solutions, partner, and all what you need, even suppliers. Probably, what does it mean, internationalized company? I have a small example. I'm quite sure that 50, or I say this for Italy, I say when I have some speech, ask your grandpa when he had his first mango, avocado, or papaya. That's easy. We had not. They not even knew that this kind of exotic fruit existed in Italy. So 100 years ago, probably, despite immigrants in South Africa, someone didn't know what is pizza. And remember this, first Olympic Games in Athens, 1896, 14 countries. Last Olympic Games, 207 countries. How is it possible I do not sell or buy something in 207 countries in the world? And I can reach all these countries with my face and my voice just in 1 second, exactly as I'm doing here right now with you. So why do not bring products? Why do not bring my ideas? Why do not teach or have classes all around the world? That's so easy. And that is what I'm trying to do through my personal network, through my connections, through my knowledge, through BNI, of course. I have my own personal BNI, and this is what I'm doing. I speak English, French, Spanish, so I can assist my clients in different languages. My key through internationalize is Taiwan. I've been there and I've studied their system, their kind of work. And what can I bring to Taiwan? Probably nothing. I don't know exactly. But Taiwan is the best possible partner if you want by technology. I know that exactly that. We already talked with Diane and Daphne. In Taiwan is a small island, but they produce only ideas and technology. They produce only research. The government is financing this, and government is helping them to make products, patents, and then to settle factories in China and in Vietnam. So Taiwan is the leader in the world for domotic, for photovoltaic, nanotechnology, biotechnology. Can it be important for me? Not directly as product, but why not to help my factory or to make things better? That's my job. Second, my experience started long ago with Panama. Panama, pointless to say, is not blacklisted, but is the country perfect to manage international business. That's another history to explain. So I already talking with some members of BNI. I can introduce for sure jewelry in Italy. Should be great. I saw the web page. But as this, now I'm telling just the things that I know right now. And I can help to import in South Africa Italian food, wine, products, for real cheese, real ham, not the fake Parmesan or pizza with frozen pizza with pineapples. That's what I'm doing. And I've already sent to some of your members some products that we have in Italy, like small trucks. Daphne, I sent to you, if I duly remember. Yes, that can be, but there are other factories in the technology. A member of BNI is producing probably the best saffron that you can use in your kitchen. So is another chance. Depends.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gianni.
And thanks, Jaco. Even if I didn't understand everything, it was a great lesson and was perfect speech. Not even one word was lost. Great.
Very well. I try to do things as layman as possible. It's too much high-grade words.
Absolutely. So is there anybody that wants to ask Gianni anything? Do you want to contact from Italy or Taiwan or any of those places? You're welcome to ask any questions now. We've got about 15 minutes left. Susan, I know that you wanted to chat to Gianni a little bit.
Yes, I will contact him afterwards as well. But Gianni, I just wanted to find out, we got the invitations for the Homey Fair for January next year. And do you think that the Homey Fair will go ahead? I mean, I just missed it in Feb, and that's just after everything. Fortunately, I missed it because otherwise I would have been in lockdown. But do you think, because I mean, that is my big chance to export to Italy and to Europe. Should I go ahead and really apply now?
Sorry, I lost some words. What is the product, Susan, to export?
Okay. Yeah. What I do have is I have a range of ladies' wear clothing, as well as jewelry. Now that I want to take to the Homey Fair so that we can start the exports from South Africa or whatever to Italy and to the rest of Europe. I'm asking you your opinion about whether the Homey Fair will be able to go ahead in January.
Is jewelry and ladies' wear is some, if I duly understand, is something that is always on the top.
Yes. But I'm specifically talking about the fair that is in Milan.
Milan fashion fair.
That's right.
Sorry, I misunderstood this.
Okay.
And is the most known. So probably is the best window you can give to your product.
Yes. Okay. And you think
Milan Fashion Week is everywhere in the world. I perfectly know. I have one personal doubt. When you go to a fair, you are one. You are one in 100 with 100 people around you. So eventually, can it be possible to organize even some special event? I perfectly know 2 women involved in fashion in Italy, and why not organize something? Milan is something mandatory where you can find always Gucci, Ferragamo, Ferré, Valentino, and all the famous brands. So who I am right now to compete with them? Do I have same visibility? A lot of people is there in Milan to watch Valentino and Ferragamo. I must have something special. How much, I ask, I don't know the prices, but I ask, how much is investment to be in Milan? But
Okay.
in the meanwhile, how much can be to have 1 week for myself in Rome alone and organize something? I will be there alone. If they come for me, not because I'm just one in the most known fashion brand. That's just some consideration.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe, Susan, it's worth trying to get a couple of South African companies together and doing something like that.
What we can even try and do with Gianna's help maybe is to do a sort of a Zoom fashion parade, fashion show, something like that with local products.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Susan, do you have a web page?
I will send it on to Gianni, I'll send it on to you.
Okay.
Now, also, Diane, if I'm not mistaken, I know proudly South African products on export, there's a rebate for you. So there's a bit of a rebate. If you are, that's what I said, if you have South African products, register as proudly South African. I think I'm not sure if there's a fee or anything to get a certification accreditation, but you are able to get rebates on your exports.
Yes.
So please, if any of you want to start exporting to other countries, make sure that you're registered as proudly South African. Have that label on your, whatever product you send out, have that label on it, because that'll offer you a rebate from the Department of Trade and Industry for your exports.
Okay.
You can apply for your rebate. So keep that in mind, because I'm actually busy with a client. He's a long-standing client of mine, but he's now in Canada. He's moved to Canada. So I used to export charcoal for him to Canada, cooking charcoal. Apparently the Canadians are loving to having a proper braai, not a barbecue, a braai.
Okay.
So the charcoal is in massive demand in Canada. Now, because of that, he's got a footprint in the US where he's going to be selling proudly South African products. So that includes clothing. So Susan, I'll get your details. Mrs. Ball's chutney, distributing that within the US. And I spoke to him last night, the night before last. Sorry, I spoke to him in the morning because he phones me at 5 o'clock in the morning. On a face call at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm still drooling on my pillow when his phone call comes through. Where he's in negotiation at the moment with Walmart to have proudly South African products there, distributed within the US.
Okay, that's
so
good.
Look at the proudly South African side of things. Get your label on it, get registered, because that will give you a bigger imprint on the export market, as Dan will also tell you, and the Department of Trade and Industry will push you even harder to get you outside of the country, just because you are registered as proudly South African. So, Diana, I know that's your side of things to take care of.
Cool.
May I jump in with another question?
Yes.
Okay, Jaco, specifically for you, we've always had the problem that fabric is not manufactured in South Africa. So that's why I've always had the opinion that even though it's the product is made here, that we won't get that, what they call the EU or whatever certificates that we need for that. Am I under the incorrect idea about what that is concerned? And then my second question is, half of my products are manufactured locally. The other half is manufactured in India.
Okay.
And how would I be able then to separate the two? Because obviously they're both still my designs, my creativity. Just the one is made in my factory in India and the one is made in my factory in South Africa. Would that be a huge problem?
Okay, so just to answer, let's get back to the first one. So with fabric coming, where's your fabric coming from?
Well, no fabric is being made in South Africa.
But where do you get your fabric from?
From India, and also I buy from local suppliers, but they buy from Korea, China, India. So even the stuff that is available in Africa is not the fabric that we can use for our styles.
Okay. So so anything that you import from overseas, okay, so if you found a supplier, for example, in Italy, for example, a fabric supplier that's got good quality fabric, and that's again where Gianni could maybe help you. So find a fabric supplier in a European country, you can qualify for a Euro 1 certificate. That is the key. It has to come from a European supplier that's part of the EU. Any country that's part of the EU will give you that Euro 1 certificate. It gives you a massive rebate on your import duties only. Only your duties, not the VAT. But if you find a supplier that's in the SADC region, that's your Southern African developing countries, a SADC certificate will guarantee you 0% duties. So keep that in mind. You import the material from India, unfortunately, you'll be blanketed under the same import duties for the material. That we can't get around from. But what I would do, what I've held one of Diane's other clients, is look at your costing side of things. How can we restructure your freight costing to actually make that massive duty amount that you've got more feasible? So what I'll do is I'll take your imports and I'll restructure it to make it more valuable or more economical for you to bring it in from India, if you prefer to bring it in from there, at the same duty rate, but because your freight has been restructured in a way, it becomes all of a sudden more cost effective. So that's what I would do. I would restructure your freight to look and see where I can bring down your costs. But again, speak to Gianni. Look for suppliers in Italy where you can buy material from. Because if you buy from them, we bring the material in, Euro 1 certificate in place, and it gives you a discount or a massive discount percentage on your import duties. Second part of it, the production side. Unfortunately, stuff has to be manufactured here to qualify for the Proudly South African. So here's a bit of information that I think I just find it fascinating. Prada, Gucci, Levi's, all of those things. Where do you think it gets manufactured?
Oh, obviously, I think in India and in China.
Yes. So then from there, it gets sent to Italy, where they just sew on the label. And all of a sudden, it becomes that product. Now, they can't export it to the rest of the world saying it's a made in Italy. They can't, because it gets declared when it enters Italy's borders, it declares as a product from China. That's the way to look at it. Your motor spares and parts, spark plugs.
Yes.
You buy spark plugs from China, dirt cheap. BMW will buy exactly the same ones from China, take it to Germany, brand it with their own brand, and you pay 4 times the price. Same thing. So that's the way it works. It gets manufactured there. So if you think of it that way, your product gets made in India. It comes here, and you put your label on it. It doesn't make it an origin of South Africa. It originated. The material comes from overseas. You work it, manufacture it, produce it. That makes it South African because you made it. It wasn't made overseas. So that's the way. That's how the Department of Trade Industry will actually look, and they will look at you a little bit more closer to make sure. All right, what is it that you're sending out? They'll come. They'll actually inspect. SARS and Customs will inspect your exports to make sure it's not the same as what you've brought in. So you'll have a little bit more eyes on SARS during your imports and exports, because what comes in, they'll inspect to make sure, okay, fine, this is what's going in, take samples, make notes. And when you export under your rebate, they'll make sure that stuff that you're exporting is not the same stuff you just brought in, and relabel it. So keep that in mind. It's vitally important, because if they pick up any discrepancies, you're done. They will close you.
Yeah, so you should technically keep the two brands apart then.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Keep the two apart.
But I do have them under different names. The South African is called Jade and Velvet, and the Indian is called Bella Blue. So they technically are different.
Yes. Yeah, so keep them apart. Like I said, like Johnny also testified. All
I
your
confirm.
Levi's, Levi's is made in the Far East. It's there. It just gets put on. That's why I won't buy the name Levi's from the shops here, because I'll just go to a Chinese shop and buy the exact same jeans there at half the price. It's the same thing. It's just put a label on it, and that you pay for the name at the end of the
Yes.
day.
I confirm this, and I can tell you that some famous brand, to avoid copy, for sure Prada and Gucci, they have even one small chip, because if you ask to produce in China or India and you ask for 10, for sure they produce 1 million. They do it if you are not there and control. That's why I go through Taiwan, because Taiwan control. But they do it medium. So you have to finish in South Africa or in Italy and put not only brand, but even cheap inside. They do like this.
So keep that in mind. Susan, go and source material. Speak to Gianni. See if you can find a fabric supplier. Fabric suppliers are always happy to send you a sample of the product. Little box, courier box of samples. Talk to them, speak to them, see if you can get you suppliers that can send you samples from Italy or anywhere in Europe, Spain, the UK, Germany, wherever. As long as it's a European origin, you'll qualify for your Euro 1 certificate, which will give you that rebate. But don't knock SADC regions. Look at SADC regions and see if you can source someone that can give you material, because your SADC certificate at the end of the day is worth more than a Euro 1 certificate, because it'll give you a 0 duty percentage.
Okay, just before we finish, we've got 3 minutes. Chantal's also on the call. Gianni, I want you to meet Chantal. She's from a spa beauty product. She has a brand called Elam. And we want to know maybe if you've got any connections that you can maybe introduce her to. She does a lot of export. She's already exporting into EU, but maybe there's opportunities.
Chantel, contact me. I try and I promise do my best. Okay.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're really welcome. Okay.
Fantastic. Right, 3 minutes left. Anybody got any questions for Gianni or Jaco before we switch off? And Chantal, Jaco was the guy that I tried to get Lizette to chat to. So I will do a link with the two of you later.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the intro. I'm sorry I missed it. I had a Skype call.
No problem. No problem.
Business happens.
Yes. Chantal, I just want to ask you, when you export your products, you've got your Euro 1 certificate you're sending with it, eh?
That's right. We've always exported with Euro 1, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Chantal's an avid exporter. We did the New York cosmetics show together where we ended up in a furniture fair. So we did no cosmetics work, but it was very entertaining.
Awesome.
Yeah, her brand has been around for about 15 years and she does quite a lot of the different trade shows. So
yeah, we successfully export with a GOA and with the EU certificate. I think we have a SADC, but we don't, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think we export with our SADC certificate. I'm ashamed to say this, but I don't even know what it's used for. I think it's because our business in Africa is so low. But yes, our EU and our GOA certificate in the United States, we definitely use. And I'm hoping that there'll soon be a BRICS certificate of some sort.
Yes, we can only hope for it. But yeah, Chantal, if I can give you a little tip, maybe speak to Diane or we can have a chat as well. There is, Chantal knows about BNI and the concept of BNI. Yes. There is BNI chapters all around Africa. So if you're looking to get African footprint,
okay.
Let's start there. Let's start getting you to maybe visit other BNI Africa chapters, where you can actually start, like I said, Mauritius is a great place for you to start doing cosmetics.
Yes, absolutely.
Mauritius, and there is a BNI chapter in Mauritius.
Oh, I'd love to join it.
That's great.
Lagos, BNI Lagos. Lagos is one of the biggest partners, or Nigeria is one of the biggest partners of South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Zambia. Just as awesome. Yeah. Also, there's BNI chapters in Zambia, in Tanzania, Kenya.
Yes.
Not visiting them.
Yes.
Diane can obviously, I'll also be more than happy to meet up and then obviously go to the meetings with you.
We'll have a
But
chat about it and see what we can
Yes.
arrange. That's great.
Let's start getting your, especially now on Zoom,
Yeah.
get to visit those chapters
Yeah.
because it's a
Yeah.
great way for you to start building your brand and also networking with people in other chapters and from Africa if you want to start building your African footprint.
Yes. We export to Ghana, but that's it. We've always
Yeah.
exported to Ghana for a couple of years, but that's it. Yeah. All right. Love to help, but I'll chat to Diane
Cool.
Okay.
after this.
Awesome.
Jaco, is there a way that that there's a list around of companies that import, export various items? Where can I find a list like that? You know.
I think I think the Department of Trade of Industry, or the Exporters Club is maybe a good one for you to start
Okay.
with. It's a very old boys club,
Yeah,
the
I know.
Exporters Club.
Yeah.
I've tried to get in there, but
They
not.
don't like ladies either, but never mind. We'll make a plan.
Yeah,
Get
so I know
around
the Exporters Club, and I know also, I think if you, I think the Department of Trade of Industry should have a list of imports and exporters. They should be able to give you a list of companies who export and import.
Okay. All right. I'll have a chat.
yeah.
With them. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks everybody for joining. We are 1 minute past 12. Everybody's got business to do. Gianni, I'll send you some links to the various people that
Thank
were
you.
online.
I wait, and Diana, we keep in touch soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
See
you very
next
much,
week.
everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.